Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Hold My Nuggets Incorporated. We're in the West Wing. We're currently blocked on YouTube. So when you see this released, this is well after Week 8. I don't know if it's going to be after Week 9. I don't know if it's going to be after Week 10. Whatever the case may be, I am currently blocked. So when you see this, I'm unblocked, obviously. But let's talk about what transpired this past week in Week 8 of football. And this is your 2019 NFL Week 8 Chiseled Adonis post-game analysis show. I am obviously the Chiseled Adonis, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual. But let's break down exactly what transpired this past week. First and foremost, Thursday Night Football, the Redskins taking on the Vikings, in which the Vikings walked away with a 19-9 lead. First and foremost, Kirk family member, 23 for 26, 285 yards. Dalvin Cook, 98 yards on the ground. Stephon Diggs, 7 catches, 143 yards. This was pretty much the story of the game, all right? Vikings took care of business offensively. Defensively, they stifled the Redskins from doing anything or even trying to reach the end zone. The only bright spot for the Redskins was Adrian Peterson running for 76 yards, and that wasn't enough to get them in anywhere near scoring against this Vikings front. There's questions for the Redskins at quarterback. Nobody knows what the hell the deal's going to be. Is it going to be Case Keenum moving forward? Is it going to be Dwayne Haskins moving forward? I think they're probably going to roll with Dwayne Haskins. I'd like to see him start next week. I would hope that he will. But from where they stand, they tried the Case Keenum experience. It's not working. You're continually losing. They're not really getting protection like that, but nothing's generating into wins. I say you drafted Haskins that high, you might as well go ahead and give the man an opportunity. What was it, 15 or something like that? Well, I guess that categorizes as high, given it's a first-round pick, but it's kind of late in the first round. Whatever the case may be, I'd say start Haskins moving forward. But good W for the Vikings. Offensively, in the month of October, Kirk family member has been playing out of his mind. He's played absolutely sensational this particular month. Damn it, he looks like he may be worth the money, but we need to see how he plays down the stretch. But from where they stand right now, hell of a win for the Vikings. Next, the Seahawks taking on the Falcons, who are void of a Matt Ryan. Everybody in Atlanta who'd like to see Matt Ryan out there, or people who started him on your fantasy team or drafted him early in the season, you're upset that Matt Ryan isn't out there. What transpired? Well, the Seahawks jumped out to a 24-0 lead. Russell Wilson was absolutely magnificent once again, throwing for 2 touchdowns. And more importantly, Matt Bryant, pretty much, we've seen the last game of his career, missing 2 field goals. He just got cut. I don't expect to see this man get another opportunity. So, happy trails to you till we see you again. A lot of people would talk about Hall of Fame. He's not a Hall of Fame kicker in my book. The way I see it is, there's an old man who's going out on his sword. Unfortunately, it wasn't as if he went out my honor hunter. He happened to strip and fall, fell on his sword, and committed career suicide because man has been playing piss poor thus far this season. Matt Schaub threw for 460 yards, 1 TD, 1 INT. It wasn't enough to bring the Falcons back. Granted, they were down 24-0. They showed some resiliency. They came all the way within 1 score, but it just was not enough. Julio Jones, 10 catches, 151 yards. I think by far this is outside of the Philly game. This could be categorized as one of his better games on the season, if not the best production-wise. It didn't result in a win. But for Atlanta, this season's pretty much done. You can just take the L out of love. It's over, brother. I don't know what these guys got to do defensively. They're looking all over the place. I would hope they can turn things around, but regarding, the only thing they can really do is try to finish the season strong. You can't have hope for the playoffs because there's no way you're going to catch New Orleans in your division. Hell, you might not even be able to catch Carolina. Tampa might just mess around and finish with a better record in the NFC South. Who knows how things will transpire, but it's clipped for them. For the Seahawks, I'm really excited. They're getting back on track after losing last week to Baltimore. Was that last week or was that 2 weeks ago? Whatever the case may be. All right, the Seahawks back on track. Russell Wilson continuing to look like an MVP. I would like to see more from them closing out the game. I did not like that second half at all. It seemed extremely sloppy. But I believe they had 9 penalties as well. So with that said, they've got to step that up. A good victory for the Seahawks. Next, the Eagles taking on the Bills, where the Eagles walked away with the W, 31-13. This is how it went down, all right? They ran the football extremely effectively. Yeah, Jordan Howard ran 23 times, 96 yards and a TD. Miles Sanders, 3 carries, 74 yards and a TD. All right, might I add, 35 minutes of time of possession. If you possess the ball over 35 minutes, you're probably fixing to win the game. Although there's a situation in which somebody did possess it for longer and they ended up losing. I'll talk about that a little bit later if I remember to make a note of it. But the Bills, this is how that second half went. Because the first half, it was fairly close. I believe it was 14-13 going into halftime, if not into the final drive before halftime. Then what transpired? They scored a touchdown. I believe the Eagles got the opening. They got the opening kickoff in the second half. They scored. The Bills responded, and then after that, or the Bills scored, and then the Eagles responded. All I know is after the Bills opened the possession of the second half, they went to it was a touchdown, then a punt. They recovered the fumble because the Eagles fumbled on that punt. Then in great field position, turnover on downs, another punt, turnover on downs. This is where the concern lies for the Buffalo Bills, because amidst them turning the football over on downs or punting the football away, the Eagles continue to compile points. Now, when Buffalo is behind and they're no longer in a position in which they can run the ball, because running the ball will kill that clock, and if you're down by 3 scores, it's asinine to run the football because you're cutting your time in half. So let's go out there and throw. Can Josh Allen lead a team back from behind? These are the questions that a lot of people want to see. Granted, you did it to New York in the opening week of the season where they were down, I believe it was 16-0 and came back and won 17-16. But can you consistently find yourself in that bind and come from behind? That defense is still no joke. Offensively, they did not help their defense out. So you cannot go out there and blame their defense for this particular loss. But I would like to see Buffalo come from behind and truly show that their passing attack can be something, because if you're solely dependent on the run, you're gonna have a bad time. But hell of a game for the Eagles. I hear they're getting Deshaun Jackson back, so that's exciting news. Hopefully his body's able to hold up. It would suck if he had a season-ending injury. That would be unfortunate. But I hope he's able to come back and help revitalize that offense. But yeah, good victory for the Philadelphia Eagles. Next, the Los Angeles Chargers, I was about to say San Diego, taking on the Chicago Bears, in which we saw the Chargers walk away 17-16 with a W. And now, go Chargers, go. What transpired? Well, the spirit of Cody Parkey was in the air, because Eddie Pinheiro done missed 2 field goals, and more importantly, missed the game-winning field goal. I was going to say go-ahead field goal, but it was the damn game-winning field goal. There was no time remaining. All right, both teams started out exchanging, missed field goals. All right, they both missed one in the first half, I believe. More importantly, there's questions about this Bears offense when it comes to passing the ball yet again, because I've constantly said, can Mitch Trubisky extend the ball down the field? Can he stretch the field? He ended up going 23 for 35, 253 on the day, and 1 INT. Nothing really there that stands out to me like, oh man, he was really out there slinging it. Why? Because David Montgomery, or I should say Montgomery Burns, ran 27 times for 135 yards in the TD. This is exactly what I wanted to see from him. This is what I wanted to see from Matt Nagy. Give the ball to your running backs. Play Chicago Bear football. It's very similar to the football that they play in Pittsburgh. You play smash mouth football, running the ball down people's throats, and defensively, you absolutely crush them. That's the way the style of Chicago has always been. Stay with your roots. But this Mr. Trubisky show, it's showing that, hey, it's not what it's marked up to be. Even last year, he shouldn't have been a Pro Bowl quarterback. I don't know how the hell he got into the Pro Bowl, but Matt Ryan did it. That was utter bullocks. All right? I'm not one to pull the plug on a quarterback early. I'm not one to say you should start exploring more options. But if somebody's headed towards the outlet, if somebody's hand is extending towards that plug, I understand. I'm not saying pull it, but I understand. He got to play better. But it comes down to Eddie Pinheiro having to make that doggone kick, man. You can't miss that. You can't miss that. And ultimately, he did. There was nothing really that stood out for me offensively for Los Angeles or defensively, because we know what they're dealing with when it comes to having to stop, Mitch Trubisky. So there's nothing really that stands out about that, because he's not somebody who's a huge threat. They sucked about trying to stop the run. This was a game that Chicago should have walked away with, and ultimately they ended up in that L column. And like I said in the beginning of the year, I don't believe Chicago would return to the playoffs, and it's looking like that's coming to fruition. They got to play better. But hell of a win for Los Angeles. They really needed this. Hopefully they can keep this momentum going moving forward, because next week they got Green Bay, and god damn it, that's going to be a good game. I expect the defenses to show out. I'll talk about, well, I can't really talk about that in the pregame. What's the purpose? I'm going to be locked. But nonetheless, I expect a sensational game between those guys. And I'm choosing the Chargers to pull off the upset. Next, the Raiders taking on the Texans in Houston. I believe it was in Houston. No, this game wasn't in London. Yeah, this game was in Houston. Where the Texans walked away with a 27-24 win over those Gruden grinders. What transpired? Deshaun Watson magic. That's what happened. Man threw a game-winning touchdown, or I should say go-ahead touchdown, because there was 2 possessions after that. With a cleat flying into this man's eye. All right, he was out there looking like Rorinnora Zorro after the time skip. One eye was working, and he was still able to find his man in the end zone Fells for the go-ahead score. Sensational game, all right? Carlos hide and seek. He's showing a lot of confidence when it comes to running the football for this Houston Texans front. I'm extremely ecstatic for the way that he's playing, especially after Cleveland sent this man away after he was playing pretty solid, all right? So I'm happy to see how that transpired for them. DeAndre Hopkins, one of his better games of the season. 11 catches, 109 yards. Sensational job. 35 minutes time of possession. They had the ball in their hands. That is absolutely sensational, all right? You control the clock. You control the game. And like I said, for Deshaun Watson, 27 for 39, 278, 279, 3 TDs. Sensational game. Now, the Raiders did not play like no slouches either, all right? This was a game that it just got away from them. Second half, they just needed a little bit more execution, all right? That final drive that they had going down the field just wasn't enough, and then defensively, they could not get the Texans off the field on the Texans' last drive to run out the clock. They needed just one stop. They couldn't get it. All right, but Derek Vehicle, he played all right for what it was worth. 18 for 32, 285, and 3 TDs. But the Raiders shot themselves in the foot. Why? 11 penalties. You got to do better than that. You got to do better than that. On a day where their offensive line performed because they gave up 0 sacks. Coming into this season, a lot of questions was, can that offensive line get back to the way that they played in 2015 when the Raiders went to the postseason, and they were one of the better offensive line in the league, if not graded as the highest offensive line in the league. If that offense can protect for Derek Vehicle, open up those lanes for Josh Jacobs, who I believe probably has an opportunity to get that offensive rookie of the year. Who knows, man? That Raiders team can go somewhere. I believe in those Gruden grinders. I think they're about a year away, a year, 2 years away. But damn it, they're playing good football. Just not enough to walk away with the W. Hell of a victory for them boys down in Houston. I only say them boys because that's also Texans. It's in Texas. That's near Dallas. We'll talk about Dallas a little bit later because they ain't played this week. Next, we had the Jets taking on the Jags. Jags walked away with a W, 29-15. Let me say this, Sam Darnold, evidently you're still seeing ghost. 3 INTs and a fumble. That is atrocious. Atrocious. Guy's got to play better. He's got to play better. More importantly, Adam Gase, Le'Veon Bell had 8 carries, 23 yards, 3 catches, 12 yards. You mean to tell me you brought this man to New York, you gave him the contract that he got, and he only touches the ball 11 times? Are you serious? Are you serious? The resume for Le'Veon Bell literally shows this man gets the ball in his hand over 25 times, you mess around and win games. Granted, the Jets aren't the Pittsburgh Steelers of old, but get the ball in his hand. He's dynamic. He can make things happen. Why is he not getting the touches that's needed to get the production that you want? It's ridiculous. Asinine. I don't understand. I simply don't understand. More importantly, that offensive line is atrocious. They gave up 8 sacks. 8. What? The Jets? You guys suck, man. You guys suck. I'd rather use Jet Drive than use the New York Jets in Madden, betting, as my team, as anything. Garbage. Okay, but for the Jags, they took care of business. All right, Gardner Minshew, 22 for 34, 279, 3 TDs. Sensational job. Leonard Fournette, 29 carries, 19 carries, whatever the carry may have been, 76 yards. And more importantly, Gardner Minshew threw 3 TDs. Sensational job for the Jags. I'm interested to see what's going to happen in 2 weeks when Nick Foles is cleared to play. Is he going to start? Is he not going to start? I don't know. Minshew's doing all right. He's keeping them 500. I'm curious to see what transpires moving forward. I think you should roll with Minshew, depending on next week, though. If they lose and and he doesn't play his best football, I guess, bring Foles out. But if he plays lights out next week in London, I believe, against the Texans, I may be wrong, somebody let me know. Who knows? Let him keep the job, but I have a feeling they're probably going to give it back to Foles, whatever the case may be. All right, good victory for the Jags. Bengals taking on the Rams in London. This game was in London. The Bengals suck, man. The Bengals suck. Andy Dalton, what you gonna do? Let me say this. The Bengals, after tying up the game at 10-10, this was their possessions. Punt, 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 punt. Turnover on downs, turnover on downs. Ridiculous. You tied up the game at 10-all, and then offensively you did nothing. This was a game where they had 32 minutes of time of possession, and they lost by 2 scores. Cooper Kupp took out his nutsack, rubbed it all over their secondary for 220 yards. It was looking like 2 girls, 1 cup, because he shat all over those defensive backs. All right? It wasn't even as if the Rams came out here and just ran the ball down their throat, because that's not what happened. 3rd down, they were 53%, so that's sensational. That's efficient for what it is. Jared Goff threw for 372 yards, 220 going to Cooper Kupp, as I mentioned before. And they had 9 penalties. The Rams didn't really play great football, but it was enough to beat the Bengals because the Bengals absolutely suck. I think it's about time to, might as well just use your strength, take that plug out the outlet. It's over for Andy Dalton. It's clear. Start whoever the hell you got to start. I'd pull him out. It's over. It's over. He's done. Take the hell out of Lover. What? It's over, brother. Get him the hell up out of there. Good victory for the Rams. Cardinals taking on the Saints. I know I chose this as the upset alert. No, that's not a slight on New Orleans. No, that's not a slight because I don't like the beignets down there. It's simply because I did not believe Teddy Bridgewater could go undefeated. And I'll be the first person to say this. Bridgewater balled out. Balled out. All right. Then, with Drew Brees being cleared to play, because initially I had a feeling he could possibly come back, but I wasn't sure if they were going to let him come back this particular game. I figured, hey, you got a bye week that's upcoming. Why not just let him get extra rest? But evidently they cleared him to play. That did not sway my decision because I still thought he'd come out and be sluggish. That was not the case. The Saints played masterclass football. 500 yards of total offense. This is Drew Brees' numbers. Coming back from injury, I might add. All right? 34 for 43, 373, 3 TDs. All right? 1 interception, but that's just a blemish on a sensational job. All right? Latavius Murray, the most Latavius of Murrays. 21 carries, 102 yards, and a TD. Michael Thomas, 11 for 112 yards and a TD. Sensational job. More importantly, 37 minutes of total offense and only 2 penalties. You talk about sensational. Masterclass performance. They completely outclassed the Arizona Cardinals. All right, Cardinals did nothing. I thought they'd be able to walk into New Orleans with the swagger that they had and possibly make this a game. That was not the case. They didn't even reach the end zone. They kicked nothing but field goals. All right? For what it's worth, I was wrong. The Saints, they took care of business. In my opinion, best team in the NFC. Sorry, San Francisco. That's just how I feel. Sensational job, man. For the Cardinals, Murray had 220 yards, 40 yards of total, rushing the ball. That's atrocious. You can't win if you can't run the damn ball. But they were behind. But, I mean, come on. 40 yards? Got to be kidding me. They allowed 4 sacks, 5 penalties, and more importantly, on 3rd down, they were only 16%. You can't win football games like that. More importantly, if the other team, being the Saints, that have the ball for 37 minutes, what you expect? You getting on that L train, Chief. Good victory for the Saints. Oh, and the Saints go marching into the W train. Next, the Bucks taking on the Titans. And my voice cracked. Sensational win for the Titans, defeating the Bucks. I'll say this much. Jameis, I'm not going to pull the plug on Jameis. I know. I pulled the plug on Dalton. He's been a Pro Bowler. I know, but I still believe in Jameis. This particular game, he let me down. All right, because the Bucks had the lead. I believe they were up 20-17 or something of that sort, and then all of a sudden, things began to unfold. This was the Bucks' 4th quarter. All right, you had a punt, fumbled. Turnover on downs, INT. Solely on him. Gotta play better. You have got to play better. This is atrocious. More importantly, Jameis was 21 for 43, right? 301 yards, 2 TDs, 2 INTs. That's average. They didn't really get nothing on the ground. Why? Because Jameis was their leading rusher. Why is Jameis Winston your leading rusher? Mike Evans balled out. All right, he took care of business. Okay, this man had 11 catches, 198 yards, 2 TDs, but the Bucs had 9 penalties. Sloppy football. Sloppy football. More importantly, for the Tennessee Titans, Ryan Tannehill came out here. He played great. 21 for 33, 193 yards and 3 TDs. Derrick Henry had 75 yards on the ground, just enough to get the W. The Bucs find a way to box themselves out of a W yet again. This team should be 500. Honestly, team should be 500. Because in the games that they won, they looked absolutely sensational. The games in which they lost, outside of a couple where they looked like utter trash, like the one that they did in London, where Jameis threw 5 interceptions. The Bucs, they just got to figure out a way to finish, man, because their fourth quarters has been atrocious. Bruce Arians got to do something. Jameis is playing better football, but those bonehead plays, they still remain. All right, play better, man. But good victory for the Tennessee Titans. The 49ers taking on the Carolina Panthers. Necrophilia. Absolute necrophilia. Nick Bosa need to be charged with sexual assault for what he did to Kyle Allen, for what he did to the offensive line. Man had 3 sacks and an INT. Somebody stop this man. Okay? I personally have, Devin Bush as the defensive rookie of the year, but goddamn it, Nick Bosa's about to get it. Nick Bosa's gonna get it. It's crazy. He is dogging. All right, more importantly, 51-13. Jimmy G ain't really do too much. 18 for 22, 175 yards and 2 TDs. Tevin Coleman took out his nutsack, took out his gluteal cleft, rubbed it on the Panthers defense like it was nobody's business. Okay, he ran for 105 yards, 3 TDs, and he also cut a touchdown as well. 4 TDs total. Okay, 232 yards rushing on the day. If a team runs for over 200 yards against the defense, there's a high probability you're going to lose. For the Carolina Panthers, Run CMC had a good game. He had 117 yards and a TD. Kyle Allen, 3 INTs. Got to play better. Cam, I don't know if he's coming back. I doubt that he is. So this is a quarterback rolling forward. This is his opportunity to prove his worth. He's won a couple of games. He's never been the reason as to why they're winning. I'm not a fan of the disrespect that's happening to Cam. But ultimately, if a team's winning in your absence, they're going to look at you like, hey, maybe we don't need you. So who knows what transpires moving forward. I'll probably talk about it in the next week pregame, depending on what transpires with Carolina. But hell of a win for the 49ers. They're remaining undefeated. Next, the Broncos taking on the Colts. This game was a defensive battle. All right, inept offenses not really making too much moves, but defensively they came to play. And Adam Vinatieri showed why he's Adam Vinatieri and kicked the game-winning field goal. Old man Adam done won the damn game for the Indianapolis Colts. All right, first and foremost, both these teams defensively, or I should say overall, 10 penalties each. That's atrocious. That is atrocious. They got to play better. T.Y. Hilton got hurt, if I'm not mistaken. So that's very concerning moving forward because I know Indianapolis is playing against Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. So you're going to want to have as many pieces as you're going to need to play against that team. That's you pretty much, their back is against the wall moving for the rest of the season. So who knows how it'll play out. But good game for Indy. They walked away with the W. And yet again, the Broncos simply cannot close. I think about either 3 or 4 different games this season in which Joe Flacco has had that team in a position to win, and they end up squandering the damn W in the fourth quarter. They just got to figure out a way to close. I hope he can stay healthy. I pray Joe Flacco can stay healthy, but I have a feeling usually every year it's about week 9, week 10, this man gets hurt, and it's like, yo, he got to take a seat somewhere. His body's made of glass. But good victory for the Colts. Adam Vinatieri's got his swagger back, all right? Hopefully he can keep this momentum going. It'd be a shame if he went out there against Pittsburgh, right? They have a position to win the damn game, and homie kicks the field goal and misses. That would be hilarious. I mean, I'd be laughing. But I'd still feel a little bit nervous if I seen him go out there and try to line up for the game-winning field. It's like, yo, that's still Adam Vinatieri. But that'd be crazy. If it came down to his toe, week after kicking a game-winning field goal, you miss a game-winning field, that'd be funny. Next, good victory for the Colts. Next, the Browns taking on the Patriots. I said upset alert for this game. I thought the Browns was going to come to play. And the crazy thing about it is, Nick Chubb actually ran effectively. But there was 3 different possessions where 3 consecutive plays resulted in a turnover. Fumble. The snap to the toss on what appeared to be like a jet sweep was completely off. So that resulted in a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Then Nick Chubb had a monster run, only to be punched out when he was probably headed inside the 10, I believe. That was recovered. Then Baker threw an interception. This is atrocious. The Browns yet again sloppy. More importantly, they had 13 penalties on the day. You can't win football games like that. The Patriots ain't even need to do too much. Tom Brady had 259 and 2 TDs. Edelman had those 2 TDs. It's not like the Patriots did anything that was, sensational out there to win this particular game. The Browns lost. They absolutely lost. This was a game they could have won, and they lost. Mental mistakes cost them this game. It's not to discredit the Patriots. A win is a win. But this was a game that the Browns had that they could have walked away with, and they simply did not execute. Play better. Freddie Kitchens, you might not have a job at the end of the season, at least as a head coach. Play better, man. That was disappointing because this was a game in which the Browns could have really walked away with a W, and they completely let everybody in Cleveland down. But good victory for the Patriots. They remain undefeated. Who knows how long the Patriots in San Francisco will stay undefeated? Well, then again, the Patriots playing against Baltimore next week, and yeah, I think it's pretty much clipped for them. I'll probably break that down. No, I'm not doing a pregame. Yeah, so we'll see. But I think Baltimore's going to win that game. Although I need New England to win and beat Baltimore, and we'll need Pittsburgh to beat Indianapolis to stay closer. But I've never been one of those fans that watch the team that's in my division cheer for them to lose, because our destiny is in our hands. We take care of business. Whatever happens on your end, whatever. If we went and didn't lose a game for the rest of the season, but you also did not lose a game, hey, that's just how the cookie crumbles. But I'm not going to sit over here and pray that you lose. That's stupid. Next, the Packers taking on the Chiefs. Sensational game. No Patrick Mahomes. Sensational game. All right, Aaron Rodgers, 23 for 33, 305, 3 TDs, and this motherfucking wizard pass to Jamal Williams in the back of the end zone. I don't know how it got there, but I understand why Danica Patrick gets on her knees and just a speed racer on this man's penis. Sensational game. Aaron Jones, magnificent masterclass performance. 67 yards rushing, 159 through the air with 2 TDs. Sensational job. 33 minutes of time of possession for the Packers. For the Chiefs, Matt Moore kept them close, all right? He was 24 for 36, 267, and 2 TDs. But LaShawn McCoy fumbled on the drive. That was terrible. Ultimately, resulting in them losing the doggone game. The fumble did not cost them the game, but it's one of those mistakes, the mental errors. If they had Patrick Mahomes, this could have been a winnable game for them, but unfortunately it wasn't. They didn't have him. Matt Moore is doing his job. He's keeping the Chiefs afloat. They've lost consecutive games at home. They need to turn that around because Arrowhead's supposed to be one of those tough stadiums to go into, so they got to figure that out. But good victory for the Packers. Moving on to 7-1, man. Moving on to 7-1. They're playing against Los Angeles next week. That's a trap game. That's a trap game. I think they're going to lose. I don't think they're going to play their brand of football. I think that defense might show up, but that offense might not. Who knows? It's still Aaron Rodgers. As Stephen A would say, that's a bad man. But who knows? Every team is always due for that trap game. But good W for the Packers. Last but not least, Monday Night Football, they had us in the first half. The Dolphins taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mason Rudolph returning back from the concussion protocol. First pass of the damn game from this man, resulting in the INT. Fitzmagic done looked out there looking sensational. He scored 14-0 for the Dolphins. And then from that point, TJ Watt, 2.5 sacks or 2 sacks, whatever the case may be. Mason Rudolph threw 2 TDs. They went 3rd and 18. They was playing some weird. They blitzed 8 Deontay Johnson went into the end zone. Juju Smith-Schuster told one person to hold his nuggets. And 35 minutes of total possession. And James Conner was rubbing his nutsack all doggone day. Unfortunately, he got hurt at the end. But 145 yards for him. Sensational job for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Back-to-back wins. This was very, very needed. Sensational game. Hopefully guys can stay healthy. Whatever the case may be, it's another W for my team. So congratulations to the Pittsburgh Steelers and every other team that won in Week 8. And this has been your 2019 NFL Week 8 post-game analysis show. I am your host, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. I expect an exciting Week 9 of football. Okay, hopefully I'm unblocked by the time it comes around. But nonetheless, I'm headed back to the Shadow Row. Y'all enjoy y'all Wednesday.